Welcome! Our site is about 2,500 square meters, that's a little more than an acre. The upper part is designated as grassland from here to here. The part below is designated as building area, but actually for agricultural purposes. This means, according to Austrian laws of building, that you are here allowed to keep animals beyond pets and that it's okay to do louder works regularly. On the grassland, though, you're not allowed to build anything apart from maybe a small pond or a dry stone wall. The first step was making the house's foundation, which is, having about 100 square meters, quite small, but there are some upsides to that. Firstly, there's more space left for green areas, secondly, this way less ground is sealed, and thirdly, of course, it simply is cheaper. The layer underneath the concrete slab should provide support and thermal insulation and is made from a kind of special material, which is this glass foam gravel. That's only wrapped into this fleece and is put directly underground. With most houses, this layer is done using a special kind of polystyrene, which is adapted to bear very high loads. You can buy these as XPS or EPS, which stands for expanded or extruded polystyrene, which is created in a chemical process of polymerization originating from mineral oil. Glass foam gravel, though, is made from waste glass, that is quartz sand, which is purely mineral, thus harmless for health and nature. It looks a little like pumice or volcanic rock and also has a really low mass density of only about 300, which means that it will float on water. The ecological performance of building materials can of course be debated for a long time. Insulating materials' eco-balance is usually fine because once they are produced, they stay in use for a long time, often for decades, in which they help saving energy. Single-use materials like plastic bottles, for example, naturally perform much worse. Glass foam gravel is pressure resistant, water repellent and rot resistant, just like the mentioned XPS, but can even be completely recycled. Materials based on oil often can only be disposed thermically, that is, burned. This layer of glass foam gravel moreover acts as a drainage layer for the entire foundation and even eliminates capillary action so that water cannot get to the concrete base from underneath, which sometimes is a problem with polystyrene materials. The additional costs for an area like this are around 1,500 euros, so it's affordable if considered sensible. The house will be orientated exactly according to the cardinal points: north, south, east and west, and is situated on the north side of the site in order to avoid shading our garden. I'm at masoning this side building next to the house right now. You can also watch a video series about this project. It will be mostly used for heating and technical equipment, so that there's more space left in the main house. In this spot we've planned a shed for garden equipment or used as a chicken stable. And here we hope to have a greenhouse once. According to Austrian laws of building, you don't need any permission for the first shed or greenhouse as long as it does not exceed 3 meters height or 10 square meters roofed area overall. Other or further buildings must be planned properly and have to be approved by the responsible departments of the city. Another thing we are keen of having once is a root cellar at this position, the door facing northwards. Here you can see the boundary between the humus and the ground soil below. That's also how these two heaps were created. The right one is the nutrient-rich humus, which has already been reconquered by the plants. Luckily, we could save a big amount of this humus, which we can then again spread in the garden after the building phase. The left one is the excavated ground soil, most of which we already passed on to nearby farmers, who use this material to fill up low or wet spots on the fields or field paths. The ground is rather sandy than loamy. Unfortunately, I'm not able to tell exactly which kind of ground it is, and that in spite of having studied geology for over a year. On what is the driveway now, beneath this layer of gravel, recycling material is used, which is mostly mineral matter from torn down buildings. In there still is a little synthetic stuff, which we like to avoid, but in this case it's okay, for the plastic at least has not been produced specially for us. On the north side of the house there are two manholes. Here hides one, and here the other, which is a drainage shaft for letting water seep away back into the ground. This has a bunch of advantages. It discharges the canalization and also makes sure not to mix ground and tap water, keeping the groundwater level from falling. It also saves expenses for sewerage. In order for it to work properly, the ground must be well water penetrable. Beneath this cover is a water cistern, which can collect up to 6 cubic meters of rainwater from our roof, which is then used for garden irrigation but also for flushing our toilet. Rainwater, by the way, is perfectly suited for watering plants, much better than tap water because it's low in chalk. Cisterns are also available as big plastic containers, often so light that you can build them in yourself. Concrete cisterns are mostly held together by individual well casing in form of rings. Attention should be paid to how these rings are connected to each other. Best for the environment and health is to use waterproof mortar as opposed to installation foam. Our cistern is monolithic, that is, the whole container consists of one big concrete piece without any joints. You just have to add some rings on top to adapt the cover to the eventual ground level. As you can see, there are a lot of things to be thought of even before actually building. We tried to implement some ecologically and sanitarily sensible ideas, which of course is not easy to do, for we are no experts in building or something. Of course, we are happy to get even more ideas on how to improve in this regard. For now, it's about to say thanks for watching and bye.
Und bis zum nächsten Mal.